Hey guys, and welcome to Monter's Market. I hope everyone had the most amazing Christmas ever. I know I did. It started out kind of, but my husband made sure that we turned it around very, very quickly, and it ended up being an amazing Christmas. So, if this is your first time here, I want to say welcome. And if you are coming over from somebody else's page, please let me know who sent you here. If this is your first time, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, and that is super easy to do. You just hit that little subscribe button, and I would also love it if you subscribed, if you would click the little bell so that it would notify you every time I upload a new video. And if you like what you see in the video today, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. So jumping right into my DIYs, I am going to show you two of these Pyrex serving trays that I made for my girls, and I am crossing my fingers and holding my breath that they don't watch this video because we haven't done our family Christmas yet. We won't do that until next weekend. So hopefully they listened to me and did not look. But the first thing I want to do is cut my design out, and I just went into my Cricut. I put in their family name, cut it out, put my transfer paper, well, weeded it out obviously, and then put my transfer paper down. And whenever I use my transfer paper, look how cute that turned out. I like to lay my transfer paper down flat, facing upward. And then I like to take whatever I am going to place on top of my transfer paper and just kind of bend it right in the middle, and you'll see me do that in just a second, and fold it upward and just kind of put it down in the middle and then spread it out. Now the reason I like to do it like that is because once that vinyl hits that transfer paper, it's going to stick to it immediately. So if you watch how I'm doing it here, I'm going to fold it in half, but not crease it. Don't crease it. Just kind of put it down where it's right in the middle, and then just lay it down and smooth it out. That simple. And it keeps you from wrinkling up your design or whatever. So once you get that done, you take your vinyl, lay it down in your bowl, and make sure there are no air bubbles whatsoever. So now I did some research. Well, let me go back and tell you this real quick first. You take the etching cream. I use Armor Etch etching cream, and I put a little bit on a stick and put it right where my stencil is. Make sure you do not go outside of your stencil because it will etch whatever it touches. Even if it's just for a few seconds, you will see some lighting, some lighter spots on your glassware. Trust me, I've done it a million times and have to start all over, which I've got these dishes for a pretty good deal at Christmas time, but still I didn't want to mess them up. So you take your etching cream, you put it right where your stencil is at. Try to stay as close to your stencil as possible, but again, make sure you don't have any bubbles before you start. Make sure all of your edges are pushed down really super good. There's no bubbles anywhere where it can kind of seep up under there and go outside of your stencil. So once you get your etching cream spread all over, I usually like to flip my bowl or cup or whatever I'm etching upside down and look at it, and you'll see that in just a minute, where if you flip it upside down, you will be able to see any of the spots that you missed. And it's just an easy way to kind of, while you still have everything out, you still got your etching cream sitting right there in front of you, to just go back and fill that spot in. And I'm going to show you right here what I'm talking about. See how you can see all of the white? There are no bubbles. There are no spots that I didn't get the etching cream on. So that right there is exactly what my design is going to look like whenever it's done. So that's what I mean by you can't have any bubbles, and you need to make sure that your etching cream goes literally in every single micro inch of where your stencil is at. And that's it. Now I'm just cleaning up my bottle because that stuff gets dry, and when you open it, it goes everywhere. So once I let it sit, now it says to only let it sit for a couple of minutes, but I got sidetracked with this and I let it sit for like 30 minutes, and I'm so glad I did because it gave it a really deep etch. So from now on, I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to put my etching cream on there, get sidetracked with something, and look what happens. I mean, look how pretty that turned out. It was a super deep etch. Beautiful. Now, there is some controversy about whether you can use this or not once it's been etched. So I'm going to let the girls know kind of the deal behind it, and they may just want to use it for a little pretty to sit on the counter and not actually bake or cook in it. The other alternative is to mirror your image and do it on the bottom of your glassware, and then you don't have to worry about having any of the chemicals seep into your food. So I read both ways. I read where it doesn't get into your food, and I read where it does get into your food. So, I'm going to let them know what I found, pass those little news, whatever they're called, you know what I mean, like show them where I found that information and let them decide whether to use them or not. But this is how they turned out. I was super duper proud of them. I cannot wait to give them to them, and I hope they love them as much as I did. Look at the the detail on this glass bowl. I just thought that was so pretty. It was just prettier than your normal plain old glass that didn't have any decorative etching to it. So I was really proud of the way these turned out. So if you like the way they turned out, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this. Have you ever done any etching? If so, what are some tips and tricks? Now, DIY number 2. I'm going to show you how to do a glitter tumbler. Now, I know this is way outside of what I normally do, but this is the easiest way to start. I chose this particular tumbler out of all of the ones that I've done over the Christmas holidays because there are no pictures on it. There's no fancy designs. There's no dual, where use chunky on the bottom or whatever. I mean, it was just super, super easy. So I give my steel tumbler 2 good coats of spray paint. Now, the lady that ordered this wanted lime green because that was her daughter's favorite color. So this is me giving the second coat to the tumbler. So once you get your base coat on there, and you always want to do a base coat very similar to the glitter that you're using, especially if you're doing first time cups where you don't have a lot of fancy dancy added to it and it's just a simple cup like I'm doing. So once you get your cup spray painted and it dries, do yourself a favor and get you some quick coat from Counterculture DIY. It will change the game. And if you start doing that, like if you've never done cups before and you're just starting, make that a habit because the quality of your cups are escalated by 1,000%. I mean, it gives your epoxy something to grab a hold to, and it gives you the most even, amazing coverage with your epoxy. It also helps when, you'll see in a minute, I'll do it again with every single layer that I do. So this is just my paint. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving a quick coat to the top of my paint. And what that's going to do is give a really good base for my epoxy, my first layer. So once I get the 2 coats of quick coat on there, I take my heat gun, let them dry. Once it's really, really dry, you don't want to rush this. You want to make sure that it's completely dry. I mix my epoxy, and we'll get into that in a different video. And I add some glitter that is very close to the color of the cup that I got from Backfist Custom Glitters. And I will add the description of the color of the glitter in my description box below. So you add the glitter to your epoxy for your base coat. Once you get that all spread on there, now epoxy is self-leveling, so don't worry if you see some streaks in there. Do try to get it as even as you can, because it does help. And then I take my leftover epoxy, and I always have a mold or two beside me so that I don't waste anything. So this is a keychain right here, and it's one of those no-touch door opener keychains. And whenever I make a cup, I always like to throw in a keychain or something like that to go with it. And generally, because I will have a little bit of leftover epoxy, that always matches the cup anyway, so why not? But look at this. This is the first layer. I wish you could capture on camera the beauty and the glitter and the sparkle that is truly there. You can see it some, but not very much. So once I get that first coat of epoxy on, let it dry. Now, depending on what epoxy you're using is going to depend on how long it takes to dry. This is called Fast Set from Counterculture DIY, and it is fast. I can do a whole cup in a day, where usually it takes like up to 12 hours to do a cup because it takes so long for the epoxy to dry. But with the Fast Set, like I said, game changer. You can do it so much faster. So once you get your epoxy dry, I put my vinyl on, go in, cut it out with my Cricut, put what she requested on each side. I did go in before I put my epoxy on here, and I did not show you that part because I've already showed it to you one time. And I did my 2 coats of Quick Coat. You see me drying it there, just making sure that it is good and dry before I go in with my second layer of epoxy. So with my last coat of epoxy, I always add Platinum Dust by Counterculture. Now that is, if I say always, but that's only if I'm doing a glittered tumbler. And it gives it the most amazing sparkle and glitter and shine, and it is absolutely beautiful. So like I said, once I got my vinyl placed down, I put 2 coats of Quick Coat on there, and then my last layer of epoxy, and that is it. It is so stinking easy. When you're mixing your epoxy, your ratios are 1-to-1, and it only takes like 10 mLs. Y'all know I'm always get tongue-tied. 10 mLs of each one. You put it in 2 separate cups, so you make sure you have your measurements right. Once you get them right, mix it together for about 3 or 4 minutes. Once you get it good and mixed, then you're ready to put it on your tumbler. And that is it, guys. So you're sitting here and you're spending all of this money for somebody else to make your tumblers when it is this easy to do it yourself. Now, once you get into this and learn how to do this, then you can get into adding your pictures and doing your fancier things like different size glitters, and there's just an array of different things that you can do. But you can see a little bit of the sparkle here, but you truly cannot tell how wonderfully, beautifully, scrumptiously sparkly this truly is without seeing it in person. And this I thought was cute. Her daughter's a teacher, and it says teachers can do virtually anything. And her name is Mrs. Roberts. And right now with COVID, of course, they're doing most of their classes online. So that's it. I mean, stop spending your money on letting everybody else do it for you and jump in there and do it yourself. Maybe, I'm hoping at least, that this will inspire you to go buy you a few things and just make yourself a cup. See how you like it. When I did it the first time, I was petrified. Now, DIY number 3, a noodle board. Now, yes, I have already done a noodle board on my channel. But I have doubled my subscribers since I did the Noodle Board, and my newer subscribers may not have seen me do it. And I used a completely different layout with this one. So what I did is I took 6 by 10s, so it's 6 inches wide by 10 foot long, and I cut them down into 29.5-inch pieces. You need 4 29.5-inch pieces. So once you get your 4 29.5-inch pieces of that, then I take a 1 by 2 and I need 2 of those in 22 inches. So that is me laying out on the table, like making sure that I have all of my pieces, everything's cut to the right size, just kind of eyeballing it and making sure everything's going to be in place right. But I cannot use my table because that table is as old as I am, and it's got lumps and bumps and it's just all wobbly. See how the board's sticking up there? There's no way you could get that flat. But I just wanted to make sure that everything was pretty much laid out right. So once everything was cut right, I used my little table here to get it straight. Take my Gorilla wood glue, put it on there. That just gives it extra reinforcement. And then I just start nailing it down with my brad nailer. I'm telling you, this cannot get any easier, and you cannot mess these things up. If you use the right measurements, you cut your boards right. Heck, you don't even have to cut your boards. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards or whatever you have close to you, and they will cut it for free. You buy the board, tell them what your measurements are. That's it. Now, I did have to get some help on this one because it needed to be pushed together some so that I can make sure I had a good tight fit. So I did get my grandson, Daniel, to come out and kind of squish it together for me so that I could get a couple of nails in. Now, y'all don't be laughing at my Batman pants. That's my PJs. It's early in the morning, and it's in the 30s here in Florida. We have had some extremely cold weather for us. It's been down in the 20s and 30s, and this old Florida girl's body can't handle that cold. And these pants are a little special anyway because they were my brother's, and he was killed in a motorcycle wreck not too long ago, and this was in his bike when I went to clean it out. But I kept these pants, these pajama pants, and I love them. They're my favorite. So once I get everything put together, I sand it all down. After it's sanded down, I get a wet rag, damp rag, wipe all that sawdust off, and put my stain on. So while my stain is drying, I go inside to my Cricut and I cut out my stencil. Now, the person that ordered this from me, I really didn't know her, but I am a Smith by birth. My name is Brenda Smith Cochran. It's actually Brenda K. Smith was my maiden name, but I really cherish my name Smith, so I kept that as my middle name. So once I got my stencil all cut out, you see where that line is right there in the middle? I had to put it there because I didn't want it running through my letters in my stencil because it just made it easier. Trust me, it made it so much easier to position it right there. So once I got my stencil placed on my board, I put a really good coat of Mod Podge on there. Now, I had heard that stops the leaks, and trust me, it did. I don't know where my footage of me painting this in white went to, but I can't find it anywhere. Somehow it got deleted. But what I did is once the Mod Podge dried, I went in with some white Waverly chalk paint and a dauber from the Dollar Tree. It's just a little round foam paint dauber thingy, and you dip it in your paint and you just daub. You want to make sure you go up and down, up and down, up and down, and you don't rub or slide your paint on a stencil, because if you do, it's likely to go up under your stencil and that's going to cause some runs and some bleeds. Now, this is me just taking a little bit of paint and going back and touching up anywhere that might have had a small little bleed or whatever. And I forgot to weed this little section right here on the line to the left of the. So what I did is whenever I went to peel off my stencil, I made sure to save a little area of one of the other lines that I had done. I want to say it was the bottom right, where it was down at the bottom right of family. But I went back and I made sure that I measured everything so that it was perfectly in line with the other line on that line. That's a lot of lines, isn't it? So anyway, my husband came and helped me kind of get it straight. And once I got it straight, I just went in and painted it. And that was it. It was super easy fix. Super, super easy fix whenever I realized that I had forgotten to weed that part. And weeding simply means taking that part of your stencil away so that you could paint. And that's me just kind of going back with the paintbrush. And that's it. It was an easy fix. So then once my paint was all good and dry, and when you're using chalk paint, it dries like super duper fast. So it was just a matter of minutes. I was able to go in with my polyacrylic and give it a really good seal coat. Now you want to make sure that you always go back and seal everything with polyacrylic or some kind of sealer once you're done, because that's going to protect your wood. It's going to keep your paint in place. It's going to keep your wood protected. It's going to keep your stain protected and just give it an overall really good seal. So once that's done, I take my handles and put them on, and my husband knew that I had so stinking many orders. I had 23 orders of these noodle boards in about a 7-day period. So by the time I got to this one, which was my next to the last one, he just came in. He's like, baby, let me finish this for you, which it was just putting the handles on. So it didn't take but a second. But that was it. It is so easy. And like I said, you can't even mess these things up because they are so stinking easy to do. And look how pretty it turned out. I absolutely love it. And like I said, the name Smith is near and dear to my heart anyway, so that made it even more special. But thank you for coming today. Thank you for the ones who continue to come back over and over. I cherish you guys. If you're new here, this is your first video, like I said in the beginning, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you join my little family, and definitely give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think, because all of those things really, really help support my channel. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, all at Monner's Market. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. I will see you. I am going to take next Monday off. I will not be doing a video next Monday. So I will see you the following Monday. I'm going to spend some time with my family now that I've gotten all of these many, many orders out of the way. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I will see you in 2 weeks from today. And I hope everyone has an amazing new year. And hey, 2021 has got to be better than 2020, right? God bless you guys. Thanks for coming.